Flynn Downs was David Moyes' third major summer signing of the transfer window, but who will be number 4? And is he included in today's West Ham transfer rumour show in the Pink Book? Do you know what? I think he is actually. So let's crack it open and see what the rumours are saying. We just discuss them on this channel. We don't make them up. We're going to kick it off with a 25-year-old defensive midfielder from Hertha Berlin, Santiago Ascacibar. Now I'm going to speak enthusiastically about this player, and it's not because I believe the rumours. I don't, not for a second. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. But let's talk about the player first of all. So he arrived in the Bundesliga. He went to Stuttgart a few years ago before securing a move to Hertha Berlin. 2 years to go on his contract, and he wants out. He's spoken very openly about his desire to leave Hertha Berlin this summer. So the chances of him leaving and securing a transfer somewhere are incredibly high. That transfer being to West Ham is incredibly low. He pretty much is the Bundesliga Flynn Downs. Well, he's not really. He's not as good in possession. He's probably better than Downs out of possession. He's really reined in his discipline in the last season or so. When he first arrived in Germany, he was picking up a yellow card pretty much every game and flies into tackles, doesn't duck out of anything, gets real stuck in. And he sort of probably struggled at first to adapt to the Bundesliga. But once he got to grips with it, he looked like a real talented young defensive midfielder. And I think he still does. 25 years of age now. And had we not signed Downs, I really wouldn't have been against signing Ascacibar. But I just can't believe this at all. The reports are that West Ham are still in the market for another centre midfielder, but somebody that's a bit more attacking inclined. Probably somebody that can play further up the pitch and add goals to the team, where you're not going to get that with Flynn Downs. Hopefully you're going to prevent goals with Flynn Downs, but in terms of contribution in the final third, it's going to be minimal. So we do go after another centre midfielder. I expect him to be a bit more attacking inclined, and that is definitely not Santiago Ascacibar. So for the rumour, but the reason I'm enthusiastic about it, do you know our Insight series, the ones that you hear my voice but you don't see me? Charlie does all the animations, loads of graphics, they're usually about 5 minutes long. We've got one coming out in the next couple of weeks to do with the Europa Conference League. All you need to know about Europa Conference League, there Charlie does it, make it look good. Anyway, 4 years ago, we did our first ever Insights video. It was on like a player profile on Declan Rice, and it's basically people outside West Ham hadn't really heard of him. So it was about, well, here's a name that you need to remember. Our second video was about centre midfield being a problem. Now, we didn't have, Declan Rice wasn't a centre midfielder in the first team at this point, really. So he was playing centre back. But our video was basically saying we need to get centre midfielders in. Centre midfield is the reason we're struggling. And we use statistics to prove it, or back up the theory anyway. Likes of Ndidi was flying in the numbers. And at the end of the video, we came up with a few recommendations. Now, we're going to ignore one of the two of the recommendations, Endong. But there was one in particular, which I'm going to put up on the screen right now. And that was 20-year-old Santiago Ascacibar. So I've been a fan of him for a few years. Evidence is there at last. So at West Ham, now, no thank you. But back then, we'd have loved it. Shall we move on to the player I think is likely to be signing number 4? No prizes for guessing though. Armando Broja. Now this one is escalating pretty quickly because Chelsea are set to fly to the United States for their pre-season tour. He's expected not to go, which is, well, giving him the hump, to be honest with you. Understandably so, I would think. So there's that. The reports overnight are that he wishes to remain in London. Well, that gives him two options. If that's true, that gives him two options. To remain at Stamford Bridge or come to the London Stadium. Crystal Palace don't need him. They're not in the market for a striker as far as I'm aware. They didn't even have enough minutes last season for Edouard. Mateta was in good form. Edouard couldn't even get in the team. Tottenham don't need him. They just signed Richarlison. And Arsenal don't need him. They've just signed Gabriel Jesus. He scored 2 goals yesterday on his first friendly. And Nketiah signed a new deal. They don't need Broja. That leaves West Ham or Chelsea. And then we know, or we believe, he's David Moyes' number 1 target for that striker role. The one thing that's escalating as well, the one thing that's going up and up and up is his transfer fee. You get these, don't you? Every time you look at a report, the price has just gone up and up and up and up and up. But now it's been reported at 35 to 40 million that West Ham are prepared to offer serious money. So Athletic yesterday said West Ham are prepared to offer serious money for Broja. Didn't put a figure on it though. I don't like that. I always think, well, what is serious money? Because to me, £100 serious money. They're not going to be offering £100, is it? But so what is serious money? Is it 25 million? Is it 40 million? What is it? I hate those phrases. But anyway, this was followed up. So second phase of rumours, we discussed this the other day. Rumours come out and then you get the rumours about the rumours. So the second phase rumours was, well, it'll be 35, 40 million. I think that would be quite high. I don't see it going that high. I think around about 30 million would be a fair price for both parties. And my confidence is increasing in regards to this deal for the reasons that I gave when I did a video with Gonzo on the forum channel the other day about how Chelsea are edging closer to signing Raheem Sterling. Their interest in Cristiano Ronaldo is pretty firm. They're being linked to the Napoli striker as well this week as well. So it sounds like they're in the market for a striker. And 30 million is a lot of money. If Tuchel decided to sell Gallagher and Broja this summer, he could raise 70 million probably for two players he didn't even have in his squad last season. He could sell Colwill as well and probably turn it into 90 million really. And what's that saying? You can't miss what you don't have and all that stuff. So happy days. It's money for players he didn't even have last season. So Broja to West Ham, I can see this happening actually, and I hope it does. I'm praying that he becomes a hammer in the next couple of weeks. So I say a couple of weeks, the next week actually. I'm getting used to signing a week again. West Ham, keep it coming, and let's have Broja. Right. Who shall we discuss next? Shall we discuss Justin Kluivert, Keane, Lewis Potter, one of them? But before we discuss either of them, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app, the best place to keep up to date with all these rumours. Everybody I'm discussing in this video is on the OneFootball app, simple as that. And now we're getting into crunch time of the transfer window. Keep an eye out on what all the other teams are doing. Fancy League's back, isn't it? You've got to get your team ready. Leeds have signed an exciting winger a couple of days ago. How do I know? Came up on the OneFootball app. Please download it using the link in the description so that they know you've come from Hammers Chat and they think, wow, Hammers Chat promoting us really well. We'll keep sponsoring them and helping out their channel. And the best thing about the app, except the fact that it keeps you up to date with everything at your club, you only have to read stuff for your club. You don't have to read everything else, just your club's news. It's free, completely free. Get it downloaded today. Let's do Justin Kluivert. We've all heard of him. Well, we've all heard of his dad, haven't we, Patrick? High hopes for him when he came through at Ajax, secured a £60 million move to Roma. Now, I didn't see him play in Italy. Didn't see him. I saw him for Ajax and I saw him when he went on loan to Leipzig a couple of seasons ago now. And he wasn't very impressive, actually. I was quite disappointed by him because he looked really good at Ajax. Disappeared to Roma, went back to Leipzig. I thought, well, come on then. I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on. He struggled to nail down a first team place, a couple of injuries as well. But even when he was fit, he was sort of in and out the team, used as a substitute a lot. Predominantly a left winger, still a really good age, 23 years old I think he is. So it's ticking a lot of the boxes, an exciting young talent. Last season he was on loan in the French League at Nice, so guess what? Didn't see him play. Can't tell you how he got on last season. I can see he played more games, just under 30 appearances for the French club. Scored a few goals, not as many as you'd like from a winger, if I'm being honest with you. The price tag though, 13 million. I mean, that's punt money, isn't it? That's serious punt money according to Athletic. But that for a winger, that is punt money. He's 7 million less than Keane, Lewis Potter, who's coming from the Championship into the Premier League. So is it worth the gamble? You're basically gambling on the gamble to some extent, are you? Because if you get it right and he goes on to fulfill his potential that he had earlier on in his career, then you're laughing. But if you're getting what I saw at Leipzig, I'm not that bothered by him. I'm not that confident that he would dislodge somebody like Ben Rama or Fornals out the team, if I'm honest with you, from what I've seen when he was in Germany. But from what I've seen at Ajax, he certainly has the potential to go on and knock them out the team. Needs to be a little bit more hard-working, from if my memory serves me right. I haven't seen him for a few seasons now, but he wasn't the hardest working left winger I've ever seen when I saw him play. So an interesting one to keep your eyes on. But let's talk about the Hull winger for a minute, because while it seems like he's going to Brentford, I do wonder if there's a twist to come. And that's interest from West Ham. We've just seen us go in at the 11th hour and steal downs from Crystal Palace. Everything was done for Crystal Palace. Palace thought they had a new player. Their fee with Swansea was agreed. Personal terms were agreed. All that was needed done was a medical. And then West Ham called up at last minute in Flinders and said, no thank you, I want to go to the London Stadium. So we've just seen us pinch a player from another Premier League club. And then there's the one thing I can't shake. And that's David Moyes going to watch this player in person. as far as we're aware, David Moyes hasn't attended a game to watch Nathan Guerd. David Moyes hasn't attended a game to watch Flynn Downs. Now, it's possible that he did. Of course it is. But in this day and age with social media, with journalists, with smartphones, with everything gets leaked in football, I just can't help but feel that if David Moyes had gone to watch one of those two players, we'd probably know about it. David Moyes would have probably told us once we signed the players about how he attended the games to watch the players, and he was very impressed by them. So I just feel like Moyes going to watch Keane Lewis Potter play against Millwall is quite significant. I think it's quite important, and I find it hard to just dismiss that completely. And funnily enough, the other person that was at that game was Thomas Frank of Brentford. Now, it's expected that Keane Lewis Potter will join Brentford, but it's been like that for about a week now. At least it's been a case of when and not if is Lewis Potter going to become a Brentford player. So it's not happened yet. And like I said, I'm probably putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5 here. But we know that West Ham will swoop in at last minute and pinch players now. We know Moyes wants him. We know West Ham are in the market for a left-sided player. We had Dermesh on a couple of weeks ago and he said West Ham want a left-sided player. He wasn't aware of what's position, whether it be left back or left wing or that. It's possible that it's both. And I think Dermesh's sort of stock has risen for West Ham news this summer, in my opinion. I'm a little bit biased. I like Dermesh a lot. But he was good with the Aguero stuff. He was really good with the Flynn Down stuff ahead of the game on both rumours. And he was fine with Areola. Everyone else was fine with Areola, so I'm just missing that one to some extent. But he'll only confirm what he knows is true. So if he comes on here and we'll ask him about a player that West Ham are linked with and he doesn't know it's true, he'll say, I've not heard that. I don't know. He might be, he might not be. I'm not sure. So when he says this is as factual as it can be, I think it's quite significant. And he came on and said West Ham want a left-sided player. And I feel like it's an attacking player and a left-back. And there's probably one of each going on there. Hence why Dermesh wasn't able to nail down the actual position. So I wouldn't be surprised there's late interest from West Ham in Keane Lewis Potter. I'm not as confident as I am in Armando Broja, but I'm maybe optimistic a little bit, or a little bit watching it to see if West Ham move at the 11th hour. Because I'll tell you what, by the way, I've seen the word hijack this summer more than ever. Every other transfer window combined in my life. Every time there's a player going to a club in the Premier League this summer, it feels like there's another Premier League coming in to hijack it. Anyway, we'll wait and see West Ham attempt to hijack Keane Lewis Potter, shall we? Issa Diop looks like he's on his way to Fulham. I covered it yesterday, but reports last night, it looks like the two clubs are just getting closer and closer with their valuations. I would be surprised if he doesn't join Fulham at this point. Last week, we were linked to Josh Brownhill. Not surprised, the Burnley centre midfielder, fine, been linked to him before. For free! What's that about? Why would he be free? You sort of look at the article and you try and think, well, what's the reasons given for us signing Josh Brownhill on a free? And there wasn't any. It was just like, well, West Ham might sign him on a... What? Nah, he'd be 10 million, surely. 8 million, I don't know, something like that. Now that we've got Flynn Downs, this changes everything for the centre midfielders. We spoke about it earlier briefly, but I think Josh Brownhill would have been okay. But now we've got Downs. I think Downs and Brownhill, I'm not too sure. It's a bit samey. He's not a defensive midfielder, but just like somebody a bit more attacking in regards to centre midfield. Should we sign another one? And I hope we do. Initially, I thought about it and I thought we'd be alright, but the longer it goes on since the signing, I would like to see a more attacking centre midfielder come in into the fold at West Ham. Right, Grimaldo, one of those players we've all heard of, but how many of us have actually watched him? Because I certainly fall into that category. Can't tell you a thing about him, but definitely heard of him. Benfica's 26-year-old left back, he looks set to be on his move in the summer. He's only got 1 year to go on his contract, which makes him available and relatively cheap. The price tag being attached to him at the minute is 6.5 million. Quite strongly getting linked to Arsenal, because Arsenal are in the market for a left back. We've seen that with Aaron Hickey. They're being strongly linked to Martinez of Ajax as well, but he looks set to go to Man United and almost snub a move to the Emirates. But part of the reason Arteta was keen to take him to Arsenal was he's a left-sided centre-back and they felt that they could convert him to play left-back as well, so that he sort of played two different positions there. But if Martinez does go to Man United, it could see Arsenal move for Benfica's Grimaldo, and he's been very sporadically linked with West Ham as well. And like I said, we believe we're in the market for a left-back, and all the left-backs we're being linked to are sort of like reducing drastically, aren't they? They're all going to different clubs, so I'm intrigued as to whether we're actually going to sign a left-back at this point. But the Flynn Downs transfer sort of gives me a little bit of hope that we will be. We just don't know who it is yet, and we'll probably find out a couple of days before the transfer starts to get a little bit serious. So yes, Benfica's Grimaldo is someone we're certainly being linked to for around about 6 million. And lastly, Kalvin Phillips. Now, we're not in for him or anything silly like that. Don't worry, we're not trying to get him on loan already from Man City. David Moyes has spoken about it. Obviously, Kalvin Phillips has joined Manchester City for 45 million. And David Moyes has confirmed that we bid for him. He basically, as David Moyes basically said, we bid more than that back in January. So all this, it's in a weird way, it doesn't really make any difference, does it? But back in January, when we were linked to Kalvin Phillips for 50 million, there's no real official confirmation that we bid for him. We got confirmation from David Moyes that he wanted Luis Diaz prior to his move to Liverpool. And he spoke about how we did put in record-breaking bids for players, but didn't specify who they were. Well, for the first time, as far as I'm aware, he's confirmed that we did actually bid for Kalvin Phillips back in January. Didn't say how much for, just more than 45 million, which goes hand in hand with the rumours of 50 million back in January. So just thought I'd put it out there. Nothing too exciting, but just, well, my job is to give you what's out there and is interesting to West Ham fans. Hopefully I have done that in this video, and if I have, please do drop a like on it. That's it for today's West Ham transfer rumours. I'll be back tomorrow with some form of video, and on Monday I've got my attacking midfielders video, so the episode 5 of the summer series, the players that I wouldn't mind seeing at West Ham, and giving you my number 1 pick. Now, I have to confess, there's somebody in that video that's been linked to a move to another club, and the transfer fee is about double what I expected it to be. So I am rubbish with valuations this summer, because Kalvin Phillips for 45 million, I mean, that's a bit of a bargain. Raheem Sterling for 45 million, that's a bit of a bargain. I thought it'd be more than that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you tomorrow.